All right, guys, welcome back. Let's get into it as quickly as possible. Liverpool are doing something that we have never seen before. I'm pretty sure you have never seen before. If you're a Liverpool fan for over 15, 20, maybe 30 years, this is the first time that you're seeing something that Liverpool has done in this transfer window. Now, mind you, Liverpool have made purchases. They've already signed Frimpong for 30 million. They have agreed and about to sign Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen for 130 something million euros, and are on the verge of signing Milos Kerkez for 45 million. But this transfer, I think, just literally blows my mind, right? This transfer, I believe, pushes Liverpool into the upper echelon of great teams if they get this transfer done. Now, if you're wondering the transfer that I'm talking about, you're gonna have to stay tuned, because this one is like, it's juicy. But you growing up as a Liverpool fan, us growing up as a Liverpool fan, we've gone on years upon years signing persons who we thought would fit the culture. You grew up as a Liverpool fan, probably in your 30s, looking at players like Ince, players like Finn, players like Xabi Alonso. If you're like 12, 13 years old, Mascherano, Emil Eski, persons like Barros, Aurelio, Haman, so many that we grew up, learned to love and watch. And those transfers didn't really kind of push the needle for Liverpool to even become a great team. Those transfers didn't really push Liverpool to become an exceptional team. Those transfers didn't push Liverpool to become title challengers. They were really, top four. Get Champions League, you win a cup, and you're good to go. And then, that 08-09 season where Rafael Benitez was the specialist at how Liverpool had become such an elite team. He had the merit. He won the Champions League in 2005. He then won the FA Cup the following year, and then signing Fernando Torres in 2006-07 season. But that transfer didn't push Liverpool to become title challengers against the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United at that time. Arsenal were there, but they weren't as prominent or as dominant as Chelsea and Manchester United. Those transfers didn't change football or change or shift the Premier League into a different time. Now, in the 08-09 season, Liverpool did come second. They weren't necessarily even be considered in the title race, but of course, lost to eventual champions in Manchester United. And then they went through a slump. Here comes a transfer in 2012-13 where they got Luis Suarez from Ajax, who was absolutely phenomenal. Great player. Was, if not one of the best strikers or promising strikers at the time. And they signed him. The following season, 13-14, they did something that was still record-breaking, but they lost. But that transfer, getting Luis Suarez, getting Daniel Sturridge, also having Coutinho, it didn't shift how Liverpool were supposed to be challenging for top honors. And again, they went through that barren season until, of course, Jurgen Klopp comes in, and it then changes the mindset of how we now view Liverpool. He helped to do that. He helped to change your mindset as to how we now approach games, how we are supposed to play the Liverpool way, how we are supposed to adapt to games, how we're supposed to dominate, how we're supposed to be adding chaos as much as possible. But while doing so on that path, there were some questionable decisions as it pertains to transfers. And of course, with Michael Edwards leading the four at the time, and Julian Ward, who was his deputy, it was no more data-driven, analytic-driven. Who were at the time, based on the data, was the best possible transfer to get the outcome, because we were at that time working with what we could afford. And you saw where they got Mohamed Salah. You saw the Sadio Mane. You saw the Roberto Firmino. You saw the Gini Wijnaldum, the Van Dijks, the Alissons, the Konates, right? The Andy Robertson. But those weren't the signings off the top of your head where you're like, oh, that's going to change how Liverpool is supposed to play. Those weren't the transfers that you could say that was eye-opening to say, you know what, that player is going to help us challenge for the league. No, it was more of we're going to get them and then we're going to develop them. And nothing is wrong with that. I just want to let you know. Nothing is wrong with that. But there comes a time where after winning the Champions League in 2018-19 and coming second and going on record-breaking runs and then winning the Premier League, there comes a time where your transfer strategy has to change, where you now spend big and spending at players that other teams would want. And I think they tried that. Jurgen Klopp tried that when the team was aging or overaged and got Darwin Núñez. The following season then, they got Szoboszlai, they got McAllister, they got Gravenberch, they got good players. And his final season, they came third. Now, with Arne Slot coming into the fold, winning the Premier League, signing Wirtz, signing Frimpong, about to sign Kerkez, getting now this transfer of Alexander Isak, based on reports by Ben Jacobs stating that Liverpool are determined to get Alexander Isak and are willing to break a British record again, because they've already done it with Wirtz and would want to do it again if the player wants to avail himself for the transfer. Now, you can let me know. Alexander Isak is top 3, probably the best striker right now on form in the Premier League, outside of Haaland, who I thought, had his injuries and everything. But when Haaland was out, Alexander Isak was him. He's been him for 2 seasons, back-to-back 20-goal seasons. Now, I want you to imagine if Liverpool gets Alexander Isak. I want you to picture this with me, that you are watching the game. Liverpool are playing Arsenal, for example, at the Emirates. It's locked 1-1, and Arsenal are, doing what they do best. They press well, they do the man-to-man marking, they want to go and stretch the pitch and then aggressively press again. But then you realize that it's 1-1 and you're watching it and you're wondering, how can we find that winning goal and kick on to win the Premier League again, back to back? Florian Wirtz picks up the ball from deep, passes it to Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah looks at Gravenberch, and then he gives it to Gravenberch, and Gravenberch passes it to Wirtz. And Alexander Isak makes a run in behind William Saliba, and it is Wirtz who plays that pass. Isak gets the ball and is open in front of goal. Now, I want you to freeze frame and let me know, if Darwin Núñez gets that pass, what is the likelihood of him scoring? What is the likelihood of him hitting it over the goal? Or what is the likelihood of him hitting the keeper? I think it's a high chance that it may miss. Now, I want you to think, if Alexander Isak gets that ball and is in front of goal, him and the goalkeeper, what is the likelihood of him scoring that? I think it's a high, at least 8 out of 10 that he does. So, if Liverpool gets Alexander Isak, I promise you, it's cheating. I'm not saying that the league is done. I will never say that, because football and sports is unpredictable. I think there are so many factors that vary that you need to consider, health-wise, form, anything. Many things can be considered. The competition that you're in, the importance of a competition, anything like that. But Alexander Isak for Liverpool in front of goal is deadly enough. Now, he is ranked in the high percentile, very high, as one of the best converters in Europe. currently he's playing for Newcastle and has contributed 29 goals, 23 goals, 6 assists last season in 34 games, which is very, very impressive. That's a 29 goal contribution return in 34 games. That's exceptional. That's brilliant. Now add that contribution to Mohamed Salah, who scored over, was it 47, 46, 45? I think it was 47 goals. So 29, 47, that's what? 76. If you can let me know. Then you add Florian Wirtz's goal in the Bundesliga. If you add the Premier League tax, that could be like maybe 10 goals, 10 assists, that's 20. So that's 90 goals between the three already. This is cheating. This is cheating, and I like it. I like it. I like it because it puts the Premier League and Europe on notice. It needs to. These transfers, this kind of transfer is what tilts you into dominance. Is what pushes a team that is strengthening from a place of strength, as I've heard many persons allude to push your team into becoming better, to becoming a dominant force. Because you don't know when your cycle of dominance ends, and when it does, you fall flat on your face. That's how sports is, and that's how it always will be. So Liverpool signing Alexander Isak is a statement of intent. It's a statement of we are here to win everything and break records. We are here to ensure that our dominance is not only felt in the league, but it's felt in Europe. Which means now that with the transfer, if it happens, big if it happens, you are putting Real Madrid on notice, you are putting Barcelona on notice, you are putting the European champions PSG on notice, because you are gunning for dominance in the league. You can let me know in the comments if you agree, and you can hit that subscribe button as well if you're enjoying the content, and also smash the like button as well, please. Would love that. Appreciate it so much. But Alexander Isak is that player. Alexander Isak is that type of striker, which I think is graceful in how he runs with the ball and elegant with how he plays as a winger but as a striker, and he can drop deep and move as a 10, which allows Salah to run in from behind and slot in where he does, no pun intended. But it alludes to what you and I and others were, one, afraid of, and two, hoping to happen if Liverpool were able to spend like a Manchester City or spend like a Manchester United. Now, be reminded, of course, that, nothing is forever. You don't have the funds like Manchester City. You don't have a state that is backing you. But you do have a smart ownership, and you have a smart organization, smart data and transfer team that is willing to say, you know what, we will break the bank if we believe down the line he's worth that, based on the metrics, based on not only the data, but based on the eye test. And I think that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. So guys, let me know how you feel in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it a lot. Thank you for those who have. But if you want to know more content, if you want to hear more content about what the transfer strategy and what it means, you can click on the following video. I think that's going to pop up pretty soon. But until next time, guys, take care.